Concept of a dargah in Islam. There is no concept of a dargah in Islam. It's a business to earn money in an easy way. Some hypocritical Muslims are taking benefit due to most Muslims being illiterate in the field of Islamic studies. It's an act of non-believers. We are surrounded by them. We are converted from their religion, but actually, we don't know what Islam says because most of us never ever try to learn about Islam. Actually, the dargah is the same concept as Hindu Samadhi. The Holy Quran, Surah Al-Fatiha, 1, verse 5, You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help for each and everything. The Holy Quran, Surah Az-Zumar 39, verse 45, and when Allah alone is mentioned, the hearts of those who believe not in the hereafter are filled with disgust from the oneness of Allah, and when those whom they obey or worship besides Him, like all false deities other than Allah, it may be a messenger, an angel, a pious man, a jinn, or any other creature, even idols, groves of religious people, saints, priests, monks, and others, are mentioned, behold, they rejoice. Sahih Bukhari, Volume 2, Hadith number 1341. Narrated, Asha, when the Prophet ﷺ became ill, some of his wives talked about a church which they had seen in Ethiopia, and it was called Maria. Selina and Habiba had been to Ethiopia, and both of them narrated the church's beauty and the pictures it contained. The Prophet ﷺ raised his head and said, Those are the people who, whenever a pious man dies amongst them, make a mosque, a place of worship, at his grave, and then they make those pictures in it. Those are the worst creatures in front of Allah. Sahih Bukhari, Volume 2, Hadith number 1390. Narrated, Aisha, Allah's Messenger, ﷺ, in his fatal illness said, Allah cursed the Jews and the Christians, for they built the places of worship at the graves of their prophets. And if that had not been the case, then the Prophet's grave would have been made prominent before the people. So, the Prophet was afraid, or the people were afraid that his grave might be taken as a place for worship. Sunan Abu Dawud, Volume 3, Hadith number 3227. It was narrated from Abu Huraira that the Messenger of Allah, ﷺ, said, May Allah curse the Jews, for they took the graves of their prophets as places of masjid prostration. Sunan an-Nasa, Volume 3, Hadith number 2049. It was narrated from Abu Huraira that the Messenger of Allah, ﷺ, said, May Allah curse the Jews and Christians who took the graves of their prophets as masjids. The prohibition of plastering graves or erecting structures over them. Sahih Muslim Volume 2, Hadith number 2245. It was narrated that Jabir said, The Messenger of Allah, ﷺ, forbid plastering graves, sitting on them and erecting structures over them. Sunan Abu Dawud, Volume 3, Hadith numbers 3225 and 3226. Abu Az-Zubair narrated that he heard Jabir say, I heard the Prophet ﷺ forbid sitting on graves and plastering or building structures over them. Sunan an-Nasa, Volume 3, Hadith number 2031. It was narrated that Jabir said, The Messenger of Allah, ﷺ, forbid plastering over graves. Jami, at Tirmidhi, Volume 2, Hadith number 1052. Jabir narrated, The Messenger of Allah, ﷺ, prohibited plastering graves, writing on them, building over them, and treading on them. What has been related about it being disliked for women to visit the graves? Jami, at Tirmidhi, Volume 2, Hadith number 1056. Abu Huraira narrated, Indeed the Messenger of Allah, ﷺ, cursed the women who visit the graves. In Islam, women are prohibited to visit the grave. Islam prohibited worshipping anything but Allah. Hence, worshipping the grave of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is not just haram but shirk or something that will make the worshipper a non-Muslim. I observed after grave prostration, grave worship is forbidden in Islam. Grave prostration, grave worship, is a shirk and it's an act of disbeliever. Many believe that worshipping the dead saints located in dargahs is part of Islam, as this has been done by millions of Muslims. When you visit the dargah, you will see many Muslim men bowing to the grave of a dead saint, this behavior is called the association of partners to Allah, meaning to invoke someone or something's name together with Allah or in its place. This type of behavior has no place in Islam and can only be considered shirk, association of partners with Allah. The Holy Quran, Surah Fatir 35, verse 22, nor are alike the living, i.e. the believers, and the dead, i.e. the disbelievers. Verily, Allah makes whom He will hear, but you cannot make hear those who are in graves. The Holy Quran, Surah Nahl 16, verse 20, those whom they, al-mushrikun, invoke besides Allah have not created anything, but are themselves created. The Holy Quran, Surah Nahl 16, verse 21, they are dead, not alive, and they know not when they will be raised up.